So my question is simple. You're a nice guy, right? You're well educated.
Apparently.
Right, okay. Well, you're an articulate individual.
I try.
Right.
I really do.
Why don't you just keep your belief on a Sunday afternoon indoors? Go to church.
Because of what you read.
That argument, though, I heard that. Christopher Hitchens, one of his famous speeches.
Okay.
He used that. He said, what kind of individual sends his son
Yep.
and tells the whole world,
Yep.
you can do whatever you want because my son, by me forsaking my son, I'll forgive it.
That's not our position, though.
That is the position of Christianity.
It's not. You, like many atheists, posit to believe in things that are empirical. As a human being who was raised in a country with Judeo-Christian values, you are acting as you should.
Okay.
But you're not yet perfect.
So I'm a danger to society, I'm a danger to women, to children.
You're a danger to your own self because now you are hampering your ability to become perfect. So, okay, but are you noticing that you just skipped one question and you go to another one?
No, okay, but I'm not here. I cannot have an argument or discuss with you
Right.
on an intellectual basis.
But why not? It can be.
Because I'm not on at your level.
Who said that?
Because you've got too many, you're going to start quoting Mark chapter 6:5-4. I'm a simple man.
I can do this completely logically for you.
Logical, basic.
Logical.
Sure.
Sure.
Down to earth.
Sure.
Simple questions answered.
Sure. So, like we were talking about, why the Jews, right? We can get to that absolutely later, but why the Jews, right? So, I told you, if God exists, right, and God necessarily has to be outside of time, because if he's within time, then we can talk about who made God, who created God, all that good stuff, right? Now, if God's outside of time and can see the beginning and the end of time simultaneously, why wouldn't it be logically consistent that when God acts in reality, he acts at the best possible time in the best possible way?
You see, the thing is, that's actually, you're digging this a big hole.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're saying to me, I accept dinosaurs walked this planet 100 million years
We
ago.
didn't get there yet, but
No, this is you're saying, but I'm understanding. You're saying I accept dinosaurs walked this earth 100 million years. However, at some point, and God was there, and then we accept that the world, they were extinct, the whole place blew up, whatever, and then God created Adam and Eve. That is your offer.
so that's not my argument. We were talking about a very specific thing, and now you've jumped.
No, I haven't jumped. I'm
Okay,
talking about the Middle East.
So can I ask, are you happy with the idea that I gave you for why God chose to appear to the Jews 2,000 years ago? Are you happy with that?
That's what you believe in the Bible.
Are you happy with that idea? Because is it illogical?
It's not. It's for me. It's illogical.
How?
Because
Talk about that, and then we'll go to that later.
There's a big world. The whole world was populated
Yes.
by all different kinds of people.
Absolutely.
Yet he decides in whatever the language was at the time.
Sure.
In that particular language,
Right.
Muhammad 700 years later says that God said, "I will bring to you religions in languages that you can understand."
Okay.
So in that case, it was Arabic.
Sure.
In your case, it was, or the Jews' case, it was Yiddish or whatever it was.
Yiddish is a later invention.
Or whatever the language.
Probably Aramaic.
Whatever.
Okay.
So it was very specific to literally 2,000 people.
But in the first century, Christians literally translated it to multiple languages at once.
Okay. I don't think that's I don't think that is a really that is a fruitful point of discussion, because honestly it's a waste of time.
I think you're confusing a few things together. You're confusing, for example, the Islamic conception of what the Quran is.
I'm having a dig at all of you for all of your stuff.
Okay, so what I would say is, when you're having a dig at all of us, we're not all the same. So if you're applying a Christian concept to criticize Islam, right, that might not work, and the same won't work vice versa. We don't hold the view, for example, that the New Testament was received by revelation to one person and then written by his scribes because he couldn't write. That's not our take at all. It's written by apostles who actually learned under and lived with Jesus Christ. Okay? So they are written by men, but we hold the view that they are divinely inspired because they hold truths that are greater than what a man of their stature should know in terms of the relationship to God, what God does, how God acts.
Listen, I've heard all this.
Okay.
The Muslims will say your Bible is corrupted.
That's nonsense.
There's
Right.
a lot of contradictions in the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as the crucifixion is concerned, about
Okay.
many scholars now accept that. So I don't know which two gospels they are, but they had chapters added to it.
So that wouldn't be
Wait,
correct.
wait. I'm not here to discuss it. I'm not here to trash
Right.
the Bible. I'm not here to say this, that. I'm asking how a rational person like
Sure.
yourself,
And that's how.
yeah,
Right?
a rational man,
Okay.
can read this, can believe that there's something up there who created Adam and Eve, and then hold on. Well, did Adam and Eve? Didn't his mother have sex with one of her sons?
So you're mixing up Adam and Eve with the story of Lot that comes later
Adam
in
and Eve had
Genesis.
two.
Huh?
They had two children, right? Two sons.
Yes. Well, they had more than two, but predominantly the first two are Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel.
Yes.
So where did the next children come from after Cain and Abel?
So if you read the story in Genesis, what happens is Cain kills Abel.
Sorry?
Cain kills Abel out of jealousy.
Yeah.
Right? So one brother kills the other out of jealousy, right? And then the
the
brother.
boy kills the girl, or the girl.
No, they're both boys.
They're both boys. So
Cain and
now
Abel.
you got Adam and Eve and one son, yeah?
Yes, right? Now, that son goes away elsewhere. He's cursed by God.
Yes.
And then he runs away to a place where there are already people.
What?
Yes. So it appears that there were also simultaneously more people already existing at the same time.
Oh, apart from Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
So now.
And then they have a third son called Seth and a few other kids. Okay? So, when you ask me, how can a logical man believe this? What I would retort to you there is that it is wrong to assume that Christianity is full of just a bunch of illogical men and women talking about God. In fact, some of the most logical people that have ever existed have been Christian. And they have talked about God and rationalized the things of God. In the very first century, many of the Greek converts, we will agree that the Greeks did have an educational system, and some of them were very, very intelligent. Many of the converts were actually very intelligent Greek philosophers. And we even have them mentioned in the Bible. Right? So these were men of pure ration who didn't necessarily believe in a God, but they were even won over by the idea of the gospel.
I'll ask you a personal question.
Go for it.
Did this belief come after some seminal moment in your life?
No, I was born in a Christian family.
Yeah.
I went away from a while, and I came back to it.
Okay, so you didn't go to prison or you didn't commit a crime?
No, so that's the beauty, I think, of the religion, right? You can be born into it and just live out your entire life in it, right? And also, you can be born as something else and still have an experience with God that's meaningful to you, that brings you into the fold. I think that's beautiful. Because in the very first century, right? I keep referring to the first century because that's when it all began. People were being converted because of these things. They weren't being won over or tricked.
There are people in India right now, Sikhs, that are being bought by Christian missionaries who are paying their kids school fees, providing them with food, and like food and shelters.
Okay.
This is how, and it's happening today as I speak to you.
So that sounds positive to me.
Positive.
Yes.
So hold on.
Okay.
Right. So you are going. Not just forget. I use that as an example because I know it.
Can I add one more thing just to that? This sounds positive, as long as you're not doing it for ulterior motives, right? So we are told to go and do good works as being Christians, right? So everything that like Sikhs do, for example, we should also be doing, right? However, if we're not trying to like collateralize it and use our good deeds in exchange for, well, you better convert or we're gonna go away. That's bad.
But that's what's happening.
That's bad.
Well, that's
And that's not what Christ would do.
Why not just?
We should give freely.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's all. So if they're doing that, they are wrong.
Look, listen. We could stand here for hours. I will never.
It's rational. That's what I'm saying.
It's not rational.
It is rational. Show me the irrationality. Show it to me.
I'll show you the irrationality.
Sure.
You believe that there is something up there that created this world. Wait, whether it's a spirit, human being, doesn't matter, immaterial, that created this world. Is that what you're telling me?
Let me just say yes to be simple.
Okay, let's be simple.
Okay.
So he's created it. And you believe that by following a particular book, which is your case, the Bible.
I would say following Jesus.
Okay,
personally.
Okay, following Jesus.
I said that personally, yeah.
Okay, following Jesus and only Jesus. Will lead you to, what was it? Not like
Salvation, Jannah, Nirvana, whatever you want to call it. A higher states, whatever you want to call it.
Right. And yet he knows everything. He's all powerful. He's all knowing.
All that good stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, then it's hard for me to.
But where? Like you've described it. Now show me the part that's wrong.
So, the most rational thing, from what I understand, I'm not a scientist. There was probably some Big Bang, right? There was nothing.
Okay.
Then out of the water, there was probably one, whatever it was, what they call it, cell.
Like a single cell organism or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And from that, something happened. Billions of years. We know it took billions of years.
Okay.
Something happened. The dinosaurs got thing. Then something else happened. Then something else happened. And then from apes and orangutans or whatever else, yeah, Neanderthals came after that. Whatever. And we're here.
Okay.
That's rational.
Believe it or not.
That is more rational than your
Okay.
faith.
So two things there. Again, it's those two things, right? The first thing is technically everything you're describing is literally a faith-based position because you were not there to
Yeah.
see any of this.
Agreed.
Okay?
Agreed.
But something about the viewpoint convinces you, which is the same thing as myself with Christianity. So fine. We're both admitting that we are taking faith-based positions. Okay, sure. Now, here's where I have won over you. I have no problem with anything you've described. All I'm simply telling you is that there is a primary cause to all of it, and that primary cause allows things like the dinosaurs and the organisms and whatever you might have to function according to their nature. That's all. Because you're going to have to explain to me somehow rationally why things operate in a predictable manner.
And I can't,
That's
that's
the problem.
why these conversations are fruitless. They never get anywhere.
I don't think so.
And it gets personal.
Look, we haven't gotten personal.
No,
and we're
not
not
me
going
and you,
to.
not me
right?
and you, not me and
All
you.
I'm saying is this, right? Fine. And evolution. What makes it happen in a predictable manner?
I don't know. I don't care.
I would say, ask yourself that question. I call that God, personally.
Let me ask you this.
Okay?
A few thousand years ago, people worship the sun, worship the moon.
Still do today. Well, yeah.
In Mecca, they had all them deities and whatever. At that particular time,
Yep.
what was wrong with them doing that? What's the issue?
They're focusing their
They
attention.
didn't know anything better, did they?
Huh?
They didn't know anything better.
Well, it depends how you want to look at it, right? Because on the one hand, there were Christians there, right? Maybe not in Mecca, but people who were in Mecca would at least go to places like Syria where you had Christians.
It wasn't irrational.
Okay.
It wasn't irrational. If you were in part of the world,
Yep.
wherever you were,
Yep.
when thunder struck,
Yep.
to believe that the gods were unhappy. That wasn't
That's
irrational.
fine. That's fine.
It wasn't irrational to think that the sun was a god
That's fine.
at the time.
That's fine.
There will come a time, not like, unfortunately not in your lifetime, where people will look back at people like yourself and other people around there. I think
Okay.
They had a lot more information.
Right.
Well, now we've proved that the existence of God is just an absolute fairy tale. It's a
Well,
fable.
no, I wouldn't say that for the following reasons. Even to this day, you still find people who are in all manner of the scientific field who still believe in God to this day.
Yes, you do, yeah.
You still find people who even don't believe in God, but then start to even admit, like Dawkins does, that the argument for intelligent design or stability from the universe is the best argument for God. No matter how advanced we get, the question still remains, why is everything so stable that allows us to become advanced? Why don't people exist and then stop existing and then pop back in again and stop back in again? Why isn't gravity always constant, then turns off and turns back on again? Why is everything so
It could
stable?
be just coincidence, mate. It could be just.
What?
So,
If you try to, for example, formalize this coincidence, it becomes a number which is improbable,
yeah, I've heard this one. I've
right?
heard this.
So how do you
Because
rationalize
if you
this as being a coincidence?
If you took 1 million for whatever it was,
Yeah.
and you just turned it around, there would be no existence. But my friends,
No, not quite that one. Like if you're claiming that everything in our universe or our reality that is stable and performs according to its nature, if you flip a coin,
Yeah.
right, and the chances of it landing on heads, right, are like one in two or whatever, or depending on how many flips you take, right?
Yeah.
What are the chances that every time you flip a coin, for everything in our reality that remains stable, it will always land on heads? To me, that it's just a coincidence.
Could you convince me that thing up there, whatever this thing you
Right.
believe in, had all this power to work out, like you said, gravity, the rotation of whatever,
All that good stuff. Right.
the
Everything.
everything.
Yep.
Water, here,
Magnetism,
only here, and no
water.
anywhere else.
Sorry?
water on this planet and nowhere else.
But that's not true. There's water everywhere.
Well, there's not water. Well, not really. No, there isn't. That's not true.
There's water on Mars. Neptune is predominantly water. There's
But it's
water,
you can't
frozen
live-
water.
you can't
Sorry.
live there, though.
Huh?
You can't live there.
Okay, fine then. So one of two things then. Perhaps we're not meant to live there, or perhaps not ready to live there. Even today, on the Arctic is not home to millions of people. So clearly, human beings don't prefer places that are frozen. Now, if there's ever a need for that, then hopefully we'll be able to take advantage of it.
Well, okay.
That's all.
But I don't know. It's just maybe I could have.
Ask yourself what makes the universe stable. The universe is here. There are forces that govern it. What makes it stable? That's what I'd say. So simply, I call the stability God. That's
if you
it.
believe that, what my point was coming back to the first thing. If you believe that,
Yep.
you don't rape any woman walking down the street. You're not a thief.
Yep.
You're not a danger to anyone.
Sure.
If you want to pray 5 times a day, if you want to not eat,
Sure.
whatever. I have no issue with it.
So I would say these things are positive. They are encourageable,
If it
right?
makes you behave in a certain way,
Right.
by the commandment. But I don't need the commandments to tell me, don't murder you, don't rape your wife.
Well, you might do actually,
Why?
because think about all the people who didn't have these
I'm
commandments
not
as
worried
part
about.
of.
I'm not. I don't. I'm
No,
I'm
no,
not
no,
interested.
but you see, like, so effectively with you, you can have this moral high ground because you've grown up in a culture influenced by Christianity. However, go anywhere else in the world, right, that haven't heard about the message of Christianity.
Right.
The
it's
majority of
Christianity
them.
that taught me that I shouldn't murder anyone.
Yes.
I shouldn't rape anyone.
Yes.
I shouldn't cover anyone's wife.
Yes.
And whatever else.
Because these are all
And I should-
Christian rules.
And I should rest on the Sabbath.
Sure, all that good stuff, right? That is why you have a weekend, for example, right?
So
Yeah.
I need to think. I need to thank Christianity and my church and
No,
school.
thank Jesus.
Thank Jesus.
Jesus, man. Yeah.
I
So
see.
Christianity is not some kind of like super powerful like establishment, right? It's all hinged on the words and teachings of Jesus Christ.
Right. I see. Nothing to do with my upbringing.
Huh?
My parents. Here.
But think about it. If you were brought up in like a war-torn part of the Congo, for example, right, and you were a child soldier, right, the idea of killing somebody might not seem so foreign to you.
So you need religion to stop that.
So I think that there are many a-religious societies, right, that don't necessarily have that particular problem, but they'll have something that they believe in, right, that
My friend, you cannot
demeans.
stand there as
No,
an
no,
intelligent
listen,
individual.
listen.
You cannot give me this bile.
I can.
You can't.
Let me try.
You're not a fool.
Let me try. There are a-religious cultures all throughout history that have practiced some virtuous action.
Right.
But there'll always be something or some things that they do
My friend.
that in some way demean a human being.
My friend, 100 years ago in this country,
Yep.
your mother wouldn't have been allowed to vote.
Okay.
Yeah? 100
So?
years ago. Times change, values change.
Okay.
Yeah? So
Is
it-
voting a
society-
moral value?
Societies have evolved. Women were always classed as third-class citizens. Yeah? We've learned.
Sorry.
Sorry, I've been watching a lot of your videos.
Yeah. No worries. Sorry. There's a whole train coming through. Yes.
We have learned to not. We have learned not to. We've learned to change.
How?
Yeah? The church didn't allow women priests.
Okay.
Christian churches.
Is that a moral position?
Well, of course it's moral.
Explain how that's moral, please.
A man is not worth more than a woman in this state.
So, from my understanding, even back then, there was no consideration that a woman was worth less than a man.
Okay.
Simply that there were strict roles that both had to apply in the church. So, a man couldn't do the role of a woman, and vice versa.
Right. Okay.
Is that a problem?
So you're not even going to accept my premise that things change as time goes.
So, things change as time goes on, but that's not our arguments. We're not arguing for things changing. We're arguing for why are certain cultures and teachings better than others.
So you're bringing up things 100, 200, 300 years.
Well, that's what you're doing, not me.
No, that's what you.
That's what you literally said, not me.
Maybe 2,000 years ago, when people didn't know about law and order, where I could kill you and there was no punishment.
But the problem is, 2,000 years ago, there were punishments for that in some cultures, but not all.
But nowadays, you don't need this nonsense.
Why?
Why?
Because of Christianity.
No, not because of Christianity.
What changed in the last 2,000 years? Christianity did. It came into the fold and completely transformed the Roman Empire and many other empires.
A fallacy that something up there.
Which fallacy is that?
Which fallacy? You have no evidence for the existence or that God created anything.
So my evidence for God is stability in our universe.
So what is it? Why do you need to go and bash your Bible?
Do you remember what you just read?
Yes.
Remember what you read?
I remember
what you read?
All right.
That's why.
Go and do this.
That's why.
So do it in a peaceful way.
Have I beat you up yet?
Your ancestors did.
Which ones?
The ones that the Crusades, when they went all over.
But the
stabbing,
Crusades,
pillaging, raping.
the Crusades never went to India, first of all, right?
Well, their fucking fathers and their mothers did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
They did not.
Sorry, not the mothers. Their ancestors did.
No, they did not.
Why?
So the Crusaders
These
were
were Christians that went over in India.
okay. You're conflating two things,
I'm not
right?
conflating anything.
You're conflating two things. Number one, the Crusaders were mostly French, right? First of all, right?
Okay.
That's the first thing, right? Now, secondarily, I believe when you're talking about colonialism,
Yeah.
that's made to do with Britain, right? The British weren't Crusaders.
The British,
right?
they weren't, okay.
There weren't many British. There were
There were
just
none.
French.
They never raped and pillaged anyone, did they?
So they certainly did, right?
Right.
But were they doing this in the name of God? And is there anything you can find of the teachings of Christ in the Gospels that give you sanctions to go and do this?
My question is simple. You're a nice guy, right? You're well educated.
Apparently.
Right, okay. Well, you're an articulate individual.
I try.
Right.
I really do.
Why don't you just keep your belief on a Sunday afternoon indoors? Go to church. Go to church.
Because of what you read. Because of what you read.
The same thing to all the Dawa people from.
Because of what
wanting
you
to
read.
convert.
So I am not here to convert people. I'm really not.
Right.
I am here to tell you the truth of the gospel. If you hear it and it resonates with you, then praise God. But that's not me.
But you listen.
Okay?
If I listen,
I am
this
here to
is a
tell,
reality.
and that's it.
If I sat you down with a maths book,
Yep.
and I tried to teach you algebra,
Yep.
I'm teaching you something that is a factual.
Okay.
There's no argument about that.
Okay.
You're trying to convince people, and you know full well, you're trying to portray your belief as a factual thing. It is not factual.
Okay.
It is a belief. It's a faith.
So
It's what you believe.
So what I'm saying here is that mathematics, right, and it being predictable, right, is a consequence of there being a God, first of all, right? Because if there
You had
wasn't,
a son called Jesus Christ.
if there wasn't, exactly, if there wasn't, then math would make no sense because there's no reason. Like, give me a qualified reason why math has to make sense in our reality. Math depends upon predictable analysis, right, of what we can see in our reality. If reality was not predictable, then unfortunately the kind of math you would have is a very difficult, like, chaos theory style of mathematics, which is like impossible almost to learn, right? So math, yes, is logical, but I am saying that the grounding of all logic is God.
My argument is simple. I'm going to come back to this. I have no problem with you believing what you believe.
But
Zero.
you said it 3 times now. I'll give you the same answer 3 times, right? I am commanded to go and tell people. So I am telling you, right, that of your own power, you have no means of achieving jhana or nirvana.
I don't want to
You
go
need divine help.
to hell with up there and to hell with down there.
But
No
you gotta go what?
I'm
So
going
you
nowhere.
know like
My
binary,
friend,
0 and
my
1,
friend,
right?
my friend.
It's gonna be one or the
My
other.
friend, when you die as a Christian,
Yeah.
when a Muslim dies as a Muslim,
Yes.
sorry, whoever it is,
Get rid of the beard. I told you.
someone's going to dig a 6'6" hole, put you in there. Where as far as I'm concerned, they're going to burn me, they're going to crush my bones, and go down the River Thames
Okay.
and throw my ashes down.
Okay.
End of people.
That's the end of your physical being.
Physical being.
But is that the end of your immaterial being?
Prove it to me, and I'll do whatever it takes. Prove to me that is not going to be the end of my physical.
So, do you admit that you have physical and non-physical components to your body?
There's only one thing in my body. That's me right here, right now.
But you have, like, for example, a consciousness. You have memory. You feel emotions of anger and hatred and greed and
Agreed.
love towards people.
Agreed.
Where? Sorry?
I agree.
You at least feel like you exist. At least. Because if you didn't, if I threw like I don't know, a book at your head, why dodge?
Oh, instinct.
You know, but instinct to do what? To preserve yourself, right?
Self-preservation instinct.
There you go. So why do you have that?
All of it.
Exactly. What is that? Have you got a use for? It's just useless.
Useful.
Exactly. There you go. So with you, you have material and immaterial components to your body. So why do you think that the immaterial components die along with the material?
My friend, it is not difficult to understand this.
But you see, I asked you a question and you didn't give me an answer.
But
Right?
if I believe
Yep.
when I die,
Yes.
Sikhs are cremated.
Okay.
I die.
But you're not a Sikh. You're just a
Well, I'm a
or like a cultural Sikh.
culture.
Okay, sure.
My bones get crushed and the ashes get
Yeah.
thrown in the river.
So
Or as somebody else who gets buried in the ground, yeah, and that body rots.
okay.
If I dug up that body 100 years later,
Yes.
there will be just a skeleton in there.
For the material component, yes.
Right. Now, for me to believe that that is the end of it is not irrational. It's not irrational.
So-
for you to believe
Yep.
that this soul, whatever this soul is, I
Right.
don't understand, this thing goes
Right.
up there, is more irrational than my belief.
So here's how it's not. You admit it. You have a physical and a non-physical components. Absolutely. The physical dies and rots away.
This is
But
your belief,
what
right?
happens to the non-physical?
This is your belief. You're saying
No,
because I had emotion.
give me the answer.
No,
What
I'm
happens to
giving
the
you-
non-physical?
Your non-physical is the fact that I have feelings in my head. I have
Yeah,
emotions.
what happens to that stuff?
It's in my brain, isn't it? It's in there. I have a brain, right?
Right?
So it's caused by my brain. It's not caused by my arm.
Is
or my,
there any proof that it's caused by your brain?
Take drugs and that's
No, sorry. You can take drugs that can affect your mental
Yeah.
state, right?
Yeah.
But what drug can you take that can affect the idea that you're alive, for example?
anesthesia.
That just puts you to sleep. How does it affect you being alive?
It affects all your ideas.
these guys have questions and answers to everything.
No. Again, I'm
This
just
is
simply.
not irrational.
Well,
to
no.
believe.
What I'm simply saying is this, right? It is clear that the human body or the human being is made up of parts.
Okay. So
And-
you
and
feel
there are-
hunger.
Yeah.
There's greed. There's lust.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that stuff.
Like take for example all the great stuff, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is if you encourage everyone to participate in that stuff, then suddenly the economy
What's wrong
crumbles.
with lust?
Huh?
What's wrong with lust?
It's negative, right? So
Why?
like for example, I think
Categorically, under all conditions.
I would say so. The reason being,
Should
huh?
not a man lust after his wife?
Sorry,
Should a man not lust for his wife?
within the confines of marriage. Okay, fine, go for it.
Okay, so there are. Okay, so it's not categorically.
Okay, fine. So fair enough. I'll give you one concession.
What is wrong with
Right?
wanting to acquire
So
wealth?
what? Huh?
What is wrong with that?
Okay, so now we've moved on, but I'll answer that very quickly. Any
No,
any
go back to emotions. If I
yeah
have the
no
desire,
I mean we can answer that. I can go back to it, right? Any of the potential desires a human being has, right?
Right.
There is any desire you have. The desire to acquire wealth, right? There's probably a good idea to manage the desire in a sustainable fashion, right?
Yeah.
Because there are certainly ways that you can acquire wealth
Yeah, and
that
do
would
good.
and do good.
Yeah.
And the opposite also exists, right?
Yeah.
Now, if we go with the opposite direction, is this something that is encourageable? Would you encourage your children, your brother's children, to acquire wealth by negative means
No,
only?
no, of course I
Oh,
would.
okay. So that's my answer then.
Right.
So there are certainly positive and negative ways of doing things, and there are emotions that you have that can lead you down positive and negative paths.
So these-
For the negative paths, would you ever encourage people to pursue those?
No, I
No.
wouldn't. But we're coming back. So you're saying that these emotions and these things
Are transcendence,
are they going to leave you?
like numbers.
You don't have evidence for that.
Huh?
You don't have any evidence
So
for that.
I'm saying that you can reach the conclusion rationally.
You can't reach it rationally.
You can because
you either
it-
believe it or you don't.
Not necessarily, right? Because again, like so, for example, if you die, 1 + 1 is still 2, right? It's something that's a bit transcendent beyond your physical capacity.
Who told you about the soul thing?
Sorry.
Who told you
So,
about soul?
so I approach the soul idea from a religious basis, right?
Oh, right.
But
Religion.
is there any rational basis for a soul? I think there is.
Once again, but it's a matter of belief, my friend.
Okay.
There is no fact.
Everything
There's
is
no
a
one's
matter.
seen a soul.
Everything is a matter of belief, right? Because, for example, you believe that there is something called truth,
Yes.
but you don't have any evidence for the existence of truth.
But I don't go round trying to convert people.
But wait a second. You
Telling them
for example,
that I can provide them salvation, that they will go and meet their mothers and their fathers in heaven,
Okay.
or that they will have 72 virgins waiting for them when
okay,
they die.
again, you're conflating two ideas,
No,
right?
I'm not. It's the same thing.
I am not going to back up what the Muslims believe. I think it is
Sorry, I
wrong.
shouldn't have brought that.
Right? I personally think that is wrong.
Well, I shouldn't have
so
brought
if,
that in.
if you want, no, it's fine, it's fine. If you want to argue that position,
Yeah.
argue with a Muslim.
I will.
I don't hold that position,
Okay.
right? However, when it comes to, for example, things like correcting children, right? You believe that there is a right way and a wrong way for them to behave.
Yes.
And you believe what you're telling them is true, but you have no evidence for truth.
I don't need religion to teach me that what
But-
is right and wrong.
So
I don't need it.
That's not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing that everything you hold to be true is a belief. So belief isn't bad. It's not. Just that, yes, should I believe in a God with like two right hands that gives me virgins or not? I think probably you shouldn't. However,
About an hour ago,
Yep.
one of the first questions I asked, how does an intelligent individual,
and I've
an
given
artic-
you a whole bunch
articulate
of reasons.
individual, a man who speaks well,
I'm
who
just a man.
can believe that God created this planet? Just answer me that question.
But I did
You
answer the
didn't.
question.
You didn't.
Do you remember what I said about there being predictability and stability in the universe? That's why.
So you're telling me that he made this the perfect place with gravity, the ozone layer, this, that, and the other, and you stand there and tell me, yes, I honestly.
Belief-wise, it should have been even more perfect than it is now.
Okay.
But unfortunately, we kind of messed it up,
Well,
and
next
we
time,
continue to mess
tell
it
him
up.
to take the evil out when he.
Here's the, okay. So this is a religious claim now, right? So we hold that in essence, God is love, right? And in the Bible, we see accounts of this, what it means, what it looks like, right? And this culminates in Him sending His Son, right, to die for our sin, right? Now, when you love something, as God does, that is why He chose to make us with the ability to be causes unto ourselves and in our reality. So, for example, the Christian thinker Aquinas calls this secondary causality, right? So, because God is loving in His essence, He didn't make robots, but He made things that could mirror Him in a way. And that is why we can choose to either do things that are good or bad. We can either do things that affect our natural environment or our people in a positive fashion or in a negative fashion. And we are given this stuff because God loves us. If He didn't love us, then He'd take it away. And then we would all be good robots.
The sad thing about
Right.
all of this, right? I've been watching this nonsense there for a couple of years. I don't have the
Okay.
capacity to stand there and argue. That argument, though, I heard that Christopher Hitchens, one of his famous speeches.
Okay.
He used that. He said, "What I wish I could requote that, but I can't. But what kind of individual sends his son
Yep.
and tells the whole world,
Yep.
you can do whatever you want, commit any sin,
Ooh, that's wrong though.
because my son, by me forsaking my son, I'll forgive it."
That's not our position though.
That is the position of Christianity.
It's not.
What is it?
So, yes, the Son.
Jesus Christ died for the sins of everyone else.
Right, but that does not remove sin from the world. Sin is still
not
here.
removed, but he said, "I'm here." What did he say? If you believe in me, I have died to save all your sins.
Yes, right.
Yes.
But understand this: we're not saying that sin is removed, or that all sin is now inconsequential.
Right.
Sin still has a consequence. However, you have your salvation from sin in Christ. So that is why Christ tells us to go and do good works and not do whatever we like. So the idea that Hitchens is giving is a straw man. That's not what we've ever believed. Because if so, then I would say, if that's what we held, right, then the world should be a much worse place since the advent of Christianity, but it's not. When did we stop doing whatever we wanted to do and started doing good works? When did that start or stop?
May I ask you a question?
Go. Are you done?
Oh yeah. My friend, it's been a pleasure talking to you. You're a nice guy. I just believe you don't need that to in your life.
One second. If I wasn't a Christian,
Yeah.
I would be very mean, very dismissive,
Not necessarily.
and probably not a very good guy.
No.
Because think about it, right? Like, I would be self-righteous and I would be like prideful. I would say, "Hey, I'm taller than you. I can like yell louder than you can. Get out of here. I have no opinion. You're inconsequential." I could do that, but I don't do that.
But that religion hasn't given you that.
I think it has.
Do you think though you could in theory be a humble and good man without following the word of the God.
And before I go there, as an atheist, right?
I'll come back to you, sorry. man.
Sorry, let me just ask.
Alright.
What did you?
I'll come back,
What was your opinion of me? Just as I finally move on.
Oh, opinion of you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you, like many atheists, posit to believe in things that are empirical, which is fine.
No, forget that. I'm talking about as a human being. Did I come across?
Well,
Am I evil? Am I-
as a human being
No.
who was raised in a country with Judeo-Christian values,
Yeah.
you are acting as you should.
Okay.
But you're not yet perfect. And to come to God, you require perfection.
So I'm a danger to society. I'm a danger to women. To
You're a danger to your own self.
Okay.
Because now you are hampering your ability to become perfect.
Well, okay.
Do you think you're
Take care.
God be with you, okay? Your name,
hi,
sorry, I'm David.
Bravo, nice
Bravo,
to
I'm
meet
David.
you.
How you
Hi,
doing?
hi.